Good evening. Good evening to everyone and welcome to On Point. I am Delika Callwood, Chief of Staff in the office of Senator Carla J. Joseph. Due to legislative responsibilities with the legislative session, which started this morning and continuing as we speak, Senator Joseph will not be present hosting this evening's program. Nonetheless, we want to thank you for joining us this evening. Remember, On Point is aired every other Tuesday here on WSTA to bring you up to date on Senator Joseph's work, share information on matters of concern, and highlight work of people and organizations of our community. Tonight, we continue to salute our veterans. We will have candid discussion with our special guest, Vietnam veteran Joel Gift, about service and support of the veterans, as well as Ms. Hillis Benjamin, commander of American Legion Post 90. Welcome, Mr. Gift and Ms. Benjamin.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for having us.
Your pleasure is mine. This past weekend, we observed Veterans Day, a time to honor all the men and women who have valiantly served our community with dignity and honor. Thank you for your service. In our last program, we mentioned that November is Veterans and Military Family Month. We say thank you to the families of our military service men and women for taking care of the home front and encouraging our service members while they are out on tour of duty whenever called. November is also National Family Caregivers Appreciation Month. Caregivers give attention and provide help to relatives. This can be both young or old persons. In both cases, caregivers give of their time and support to ensure loved ones are comfortable and their daily needs are met. Those who are cared for are often vulnerable situations that require physical, emotional, and financial support. If you know someone who is a caregiver, be a helping hand with a meal preparation, sitting in with the person they are caring for to give them some time for themselves, or ask them how you may help them. I also encourage our caregivers to get connected with the Department of Health and Human Services for support and assistance as needed. Next week on Committee on Government Operations, Veterans Affairs, and Consumer Protection, which the Senator Carla Joseph chairs, will meet Tuesday, We'll meet next week, Tuesday. I am pleased to report that since taking office, the Senator has made sure that the Committee on Government Operations, Veterans Affairs, and Consumer Protection has met every month to review bills introduced to the committee, as well as invite various government agencies and departments under her peer review to get updates on operational challenges, as well as discussions to address concerns expressed by constituent citizens across the community. I invite you to listen to the proceedings next Tuesday. You may watch on the legislature website, live stream, or the legislature Facebook page, or of course, channel 26. The meeting will begin at 10 a.m. in the Earl B. Otley Legislative Hall on St. Thomas. Finally, on behalf of Senator Joseph, her family, and our staff, as well as the Joseph Action Committee, I say happy Thanksgiving in advance to the people of the territory. As scripture says in 1 Thessalonians 5, verses 18, in everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Jesus Christ concerning you. While we may have challenges and different situations we deal with in our lives, we all have something to be grateful for. The breath of life, food, clothes, water, shelter, sunshine, the rain, and the very beauty around us living here in the Virgin Islands. And most importantly, the people, family, and friends in our lives. Give thanks. Now it's time for our discussion with tonight's guest, military veteran Joel Gift and commander of American Legion Post 90. Welcome. I'm gonna first question is, let's just get to the real information before you even became a veteran. Let's hear about what branch did you serve in, and where did you go? Let's start with the commander.
Okay, I served in the United States Army. I enlisted right after high school in 1979, and then I returned home and joined the Army National Guard in 1984 and retired from the military in 2011 after serving a tour in Iraq.
Wonderful. What about you, Mr. Gift?
I was drafted in 1968. I was 18 years old, a baby, and I was inducted into the United States Army. I did the basic training, AIT, and then I was shipped off to Vietnam. And I did 1 year over there, and then I came home. I came out the service completely. After the Vietnam day, I just wanted to get my life back together again. And here I am.
Okay, so tell me how it was for both of you once you came home. How was it adapting back to civilization?
Well, for me, I didn't endure what the guys from Vietnam endured. So when I went in right after actually Vietnam. Vietnam ended like in 1975. I enlisted in 1979. However, coming back home after serving 4 years on active duty with my military specialty in communication, multi-channel communication, it was a little difficult at first trying to get a job. So even though you have all this great military training, and I gotta say it's free military training, give you experiences to hopefully come back home and do great things with it. A lot of times back then, military training, you weren't given the credit for your training to get a job. So for me, it was a little difficult at first. And then actually my dad is the one who took me to the National Guard, to enlist in the National Guard, because actually I was on my way to go back to see a recruiter to go back on active duty because of the difficulties in trying to get a job.
What about you, Mr. Gibb?
Well, for me, after ETS from Vietnam, I got a 3 months early out. It was hard and difficult for me because I came from Vietnam into California. The next day, they gave me some money, my papers, and said, see you. It was really messed up for me coming out of a war zone and living that kind of life for a year. And then you're back into society and nobody talked to you to, what's the word that they use? Reintegration. And I was basically on my own. I went to, instead of coming straight to the Virgin Islands, I stopped into Denver, Colorado, where I was before I was sent to Vietnam. And I made some friends there, and I stayed a month there. And with the husband and the wife, they helped me a lot to adjust to society. I left from there and I went to New York, and I spent another year there with my aunt and my cousins. That helped me a lot to come down off of that high I was on in Vietnam. Then I came home. I was blessed that my father had a business, and I was in engineers in Vietnam, building bridges and all the roads and stuff. So I was familiar with a lot of the equipment. So I came home, and my father had a machine there, and I told him, I said, Dad, I could run that thing. He said, you sure? He said, yeah. So I started running the machine 4 years after I bought him out. And I went on my own. I was 24 years old. I had my own business, real successful, but I was crazy. I was making all this money. I didn't know what to do with it. So I partied and did a lot.
So hearing you guys' experiences after coming out of the Army, how hard it was for you, Ms. Benjamin, to find somewhere to work and had to not resort to going to the National Guard and enlisting there. What were your actual expectations while in the Army? What were they telling you was going to happen when you came out?
Okay, so back then, a lot of programs that the military has now for like reintegrating into society weren't available back then. So they really weren't telling you much. You only know that you got a skill, a trained skill to come back and try to do something with it. It was whether the community would accept you and accept that training that you had as a legitimate skill for work. And back then we didn't have it. Remember now, back in the 70s, I'm still talking about like early 1980s. You still had a lot of the effects from the Vietnam War for the guys that went over. In fact, I had a cousin that was over there that was killed over there. So there wasn't that. I find that in the Virgin Islands, we are not so much patriotic per se as it is in the States. You find a lot more services, a lot more attention is given to you for your service versus in the States versus here in the territory. The only time we become patriotic is when it now affects us. Like, okay, so we had Desert Shield, Desert Storm back in 1990. That's when you see everybody starting to get together, because now we have so many more people now since Vietnam being deployed overseas to fight a war. And so now we became concerned because our loved ones are over there. But once that had passed, it referred back to the regular. Unlike though, still, I can say some improvements have been made, because there are some programs now that the military does do. They do the reintegration, try to welcome you back home. We even went through at the 50th commemoration for the Vietnam War, trying to do a welcome home to the Vietnam veterans, because they themselves they really were not treated well when they came back to U.S. soil. So we tried to appease or make up for what happened to them or didn't happen to them on the 50th commemoration going forward. So they have implemented some programs now, but it's still, I guess it's what you want to make it. But I mean, now you have other things that they'll tell you, oh, you can get certification for your military training now. That wasn't told to us back then. You know, that all these training, you have great training, you could get certification where you could come back home and get jobs. The education, of course, that part was there. The education benefits was there, but the other parts, no, weren't there.
Yeah, like what Ms. Benjamin was saying, it was really tough for the Vietnam veterans returning home. When we came home, we were called baby killers because they had a massacre at one time, and they came back to the United States to tell them that all these veterans in Vietnam was killing babies and people and stuff like that. So they called us baby killers. A lot of doors was closed for the veterans, and like I said, I was blessed that my dad had a business that I could afford right into. But a lot of the veterans came back from Vietnam could not find any work. They was dealing with issues. I don't know if you are familiar with Agent Orange.
Yes.
Okay, well, the Agent Orange was a chemical that they sprayed while we were there, and we get a lot of issues in our health over that situation. My brother was in there before me, so when I came out, he was telling me what I need to do. You need to go and file for anything that you occur while you were in the service, and you'd be service connected. So I had issues, and I went and I got a disability for it. It continued to expand and or to raise because it gets worse.
Yes.
A lot of my veterans, I want to say this, a lot of my veterans that came back from Vietnam is dead and gone,
Yeah.
including my brother.
It's not only that the aging gets stronger, is your body over time just gets weaker, and you can't really fight it off as much.
Yeah, and they stayed about a good 30 years before they settled with the Vietnam veterans that if you have this disease or that disease, then
It's connected to
right to the Agent Orange. So most of the guys died before they even got some kind of disability.
And you're seeing that happening now with the folks that went, those of us who went to Desert Shield, Desert Storm, even the current Persian Gulf, OIF, Iraqi Freedom, Enduring Freedom. A lot of soldiers are coming back, even from this latest conflict, with a lot of issues that the Army initially did not recognize as an issue from their service overseas. So the same thing has happened. It took them maybe 50 years to start recognizing that Vietnam had all these issues, and so they gave them all these different these predetermination of conditions.
Okay.
So now the same thing is now happening to the Persian Gulf War era veterans,
and
that they're only just now starting to just recognize.
Don't forget the Camp June.
Oh,
where the
Camp
water
Lejeune,
where the water was contaminated.
Correct.
And now they have bills and things in place that you could get tested, and if you qualified, you got, and it's a cancer thing. I thank God every day that I haven't received cancer in my body, but I have a lot of other issues.
But what a lot of our veterans need to realize, especially with that Camp Lejeune and that toxic exposure, is not only for the veterans,
It's for the
it's
children.
also for their families
Yeah.
and their
Right.
children, because
Especially-
it's affecting
Correct.
children that was born
Right.
that had
Yeah,
traces
because
of these
it would
effects.
still be in their parents.
Correct.
And their parents gave.
Right.
I don't know how it works for the male anatomy, but for the women, they definitely pass their genes on to their babies.
Yeah.
And so that could have even
Well,
caused
the man also.
that could have even caused maybe
Birth defects.
birth
defects,
defects
yeah.
and
Yes.
problems in the pregnancy.
Correct.
We had because not cutting you, but in Vietnam, you had a lot of defects, babies. You know,
Because they had high radiation.
yeah, man, missing parts of the bodies and stuff like that. But I have to say that I'm blessed because I'm still alive.
Yes.
I've been going to a lot of medical treatments and stuff, and I got good news. The last time I went to Miami, the doctor said, "Joel, you're doing so good that you don't have to come every 3 months anymore."
That's great. That's
And
good.
I was grateful for that because I don't want to get into it because it'll come like a negative thing I'm saying, but we have a language barrier in Puerto Rico, and the appointments. It's a beautiful hospital. It's up to date.
Yes.
But what is our problem is the appointments to get there. Like for instance, I just missed an appointment, not on my behalf, but on theirs, for my eyes. I had surgery on my eyes, right? I missed the appointment. Guess when they give me a next appointment for? January 12th.
Well, that's
Okay,
too
you
much.
understand what I'm saying? So some of my veterans died waiting to get an appointment.
Yeah.
So I made a decision. I'm going to go where I could get the help that I need, and I did it, and I got good results from it now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, since we're on the topic of Puerto Rico and veterans travel, what are your thoughts,
For me personally,
Benjamin?
I have no issues with going to Puerto Rico. I have no issues in actually getting to Puerto Rico. In fact, I was just to Puerto Rico last week. I had a mammogram scheduled, and so I was able to attend my appointment. The VA provided I was on the charter flight. So the VA has the Office of Veteran Affairs and the Veteran Administration now here locally have started to do these charter flights for veterans to get down to the hospital. And believe it or not, this is my second time on it, and I have nothing but great things to say about it. And then even though they're providing the charter flight, we still get priority when we go down to the hospital to be seen, so we can get back and catch our flight to go back to St. Thomas or St. Croix. So for me, it's been a workable, it's a great thing. When I was going with my dad, no, that's something different, because he's not service connected. We have to pay for his travel up front, and get reimbursed on the back end from the Office of Veteran Affairs.
Okay.
And because of his age, he needs to be, we don't let him go down there by himself.
Yes.
So we only get at the time we were only getting reimbursed for just his
Yes,
flight,
well, of course.
which was not great.
But now it
No,
covers.
right. So the services is great, but it's like Joel said, once you miss an appointment, it do takes a while to get another appointment.
Okay, so now let's get into your job as the commander. Let the audience know, what is American Legion.
So the American Legion is a veteran service organization where, regardless of where you serve, long as you have a general or a good, you have honorable service up to general, you can join the American Legion once you have served 1 day at active duty in any, since December 7th, 1941, which is Pearl Harbor Day. So if you serve any time after that, you can join the American Legion if you serve 1 day on active duty. What we do, we advocate on behalf of veterans, their families. In fact, in doing my training for the American Legion, one of the things the American Legion harps on, that they were the ones that pushed to get the GI Bill, which is now a great deal that a lot of veterans partake in. So we also participate, of course, like in Veterans Day and Memorial Day activities. Patriots Day, we had a ceremony here on September 11, remembering all the lives that were lost, of not only veterans but also first responders. So we are advocates for benefits and rights for the veterans and their family members. So that's our major purpose.
And I know Mr. Gift. Thank you. Before I even continue, thank you so much for giving us that explanation. I know, Mr. Gift, you have a nonprofit, or is it
I started a veteran group.
a group?
And the reason why it came to me is because I was not in agreement with certain things that was going on for veterans, and it's not that. This is to tell me, but my sugar. I have it out. Okay. I didn't like some of the things that was being done. For instance, we have a policy in place over 50-something years. We are veterans, we combat veterans, and they said you have to go to the closest hospital to you, which is San Juan, Puerto Rico. I feel that that's not right. It should change now, because we're having more veterans than when it was back there 50-something years ago. So I wanted to go to the head, which is the Washington Stacy basket. But every time I go to our office, what's your numbers? I said, what numbers you talking about? How much people is with you? It was me alone. So I started this group so that we could have a veteran association. I had good reference from Ms. Benjamin here to help me. But then I got ill.
Okay.
And I had to give it up because I couldn't handle it anymore. No one else came and stand. It was my dream, my plans. And somebody else can't come and take it over and run with it. Like,
Yeah.
so it just increased like that, and it was no more. But I still stand on a lot of things that I still feel that it needs to change. I put out a request for the governor, the director of Veterans Affairs, that we can go to Stacy Plaskett I'd pay for my own ticket to go to my Washington to speak to them, to let them to know from a veteran how it feels that we serve our country, put our life up, and you putting me in a little box that you can't go to this hospital, that hospital. Not that I can't go. The law states that anytime you're a veteran, you could go to any veteran hospital in the United States. The issue is the traveling money to pay for it. And like Ms. Benjamin was talking, when this thing started, if you wasn't service connected, you had to pay for your ticket to go to Puerto Rico. Well, there was a guy with great wisdom, his name is George, Eloy George, and he introduced this Veterans Affairs office locally. So now they had monies given from the local government to pay for your ticket to go to. So it's still in operation.
Yes.
You see? I'm still dealing with it for going to the States.
Yeah.
They almost had me locked up when I went to Miami because they took me out from the British side of the Virgin Islands. I say, man, you all know, it hurts when you know that you give your life for your country and they tell you foolishness like that. You know?
Yes.
We serve to deserve the best.
Running out of time. Okay. So I just want to go on.
That's all right. I always tap the wrist when I start to talk. It's okay.
Yeah, I just want to go on to one more question.
Okay.
I just want to know what is your affiliation or interactions right now with the Office of Veterans Affairs, the local office?
So the American Legion, we partner with a lot of things with the Office of Veteran Affairs. A lot of the functions that we do, with, especially when it comes to the parades, the Office of Veteran Affairs has also been working along with us to help us to try to find a new location, because if everybody have known now, the American Legion, we lost our space down in the property and procurement, in the building down there where WAPA used to be. But we do have I would say, a good working relationship recently with the Office of Veteran Affairs, a really good working relationship.
For me, when I started the group, the director came to many of our meetings. He heard our cry, and I think that Patrick Fowler himself, as a director, has done a lot of great things and carried the mantle for the Veterans Affairs Office.
Yes.
One thing I push back on, and that's for my ticket to go to the state, because it was 100%, and now he's saying he's only gonna give me $250 to go, and I think that's ridiculous. A ticket today is in 1,000 or above, just to go to Miami.
Yeah, I'm aware.
So I think that, other than that, people think that I have a war going on with him. I don't have nothing like that going on with Mr. Farrell. I was a very big supporter of his own when he was in the musical arena. I purchased his albums and stuff. I supported him all the way. I still supported him for the veterans. But there comes a time when you push back on something and you become like your enemy. But I know the rule of thumb, and it says that we could agree to disagree.
Correct.
So even if I don't agree with you, we don't have to be enemies and fight and,
Yeah, as long as...
I know nobody don't believe that. I pray for Patrick Farrell. Because I like this thing he did Saturday.
That's a lot of work.
I know. And then 2 islands in the same day.
In the same day.
So he is doing things, and I give him a credit for that.
Yes.
But I still won't push back on my medical travel. But I talked to him. He was on the radio, and I asked him when you're going to increase it, because it's years now.
Yeah.
5 years I've been going in my pocket. I think it's unfair to me. I deserve for the Army to take care of me. And the money's appropriated. They to say that they don't have the money appropriated. The money's appropriated for it.
Yeah.
So it's only for him to say, okay, I'm going to pay for it. You see? But I don't know what's going on yet. So I'm just praying.
So our time...
Ready?
Our time is up.
I didn't even get to the good part yet.
We got to a lot of good juicy stuff.
I'm just kidding.
Nice information from you guys. I would like to thank both of you, Ms. Hillis Benjamin and Mr. Joel Gift, for joining us today for On Point.
Okay.
As we wrap up, remember to listen to our upcoming meeting on the 21st of November, the Committee on Government Operations, Veterans Affairs, and Consumer Protection. I invite you to view online at the legislature's website, live stream, or on Facebook, Legit TV, Channel 26, to hear the proceedings. I invite you to visit the Senator Carla Joseph website at senatorcarlajoseph.com, like her Facebook, subscribe to her YouTube, and follow her on Facebook and Instagram as well. Our next program will be on November 28th, and thank you to all who listened, participated in tonight's stream. Do spread the word to your family and friends and neighbors.
I want to say something before you close out.
Yes.
Okay? I want you to thank the senator for inviting me, because it's a pleasure to let the other veterans know that what's going on
Yes.
and where we can go, what we can do, to get together, that we could overcome whatever obstacles before us.
Oh.
And I love Miss I think for standing in that gap that she's in with the
American Legion. Mm-hmm.
Because she's been the commander for quite a while now.
Actually, how long have you been the commander?
Since 2012.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a
Okay.
that's a while.
Yeah.
They like her there.
No, she like it there. Yeah. So tell the senator thank you for.
I definitely
for
will,
the
and she
invitation.
definitely will listen to this later. So she
Oh, she will.
she definitely will. We're on We're on Facebook.
She tell me I must dress nice, so I wish she was here to see my attire.
She's gonna love it.
Okay.
She's gonna love it. For
Okay.
those who are listening
And God
in,
bless
he
you
has
too,
on
honey, okay?
thank you. He has on a Comer jersey that states Vietnam veteran,
Yes.
and it's very nice. As I would like to say, On Point is heard every other Tuesday at 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. right here on WSTA. Together, let's stay on point, Virgin Islands. God bless you all, and good night.
Good night.
So,